So that's the issue now, is now that this has all been out there where Watson, as you point out in your post, and his side can say, hey, now that it's confidential and we don't know the terms, you knew I wanted you to know the terms of it. And so it's not that much money. So there's nothing to really see here in terms of my reputation being tarnished or what have you. Certainly if that's another way to say to the NFL, don't suspend me for too much. So now that that's been put out there for Watson's side, and Busby can sit here and say, we hold all the cards, we've got everything, going for us. The reason why I'm having you on to go through all of this sort of slinging of mud is to say, is this something that you think, based on your knowledge of the NFL and of course the legal system, is something that can be settled now, leading to Watson elsewhere this summer? Mike Florio.
Yes, Rich, absolutely. And I think what can happen now, and I think the next move in all of this is for Harden, once this dies down, and I think it will, the weekend will help, but once it dies down, Harden and Watson can say, okay, fine, we'll agree to the confidentiality that you have requested. And I don't know whether there are other major stumbling blocks toward a settlement, but my understanding was, before any of this came up, that the one big issue was confidentiality, with this reverse image of what we usually expect, where the defendant wants it and the plaintiff either doesn't want it or doesn't care. Here, the plaintiff's lawyer wants it, the defendant doesn't want it, and it could be that Harden has done enough so that when the cases are settled, folks like us can say, well, maybe it wasn't as much as you would think, because remember, Harden wanted none of it to be confidential. That may be the genius in what Harden did yesterday, to lay the foundation to flip and say, okay, fine, we'll give you confidentiality now, settle the cases, and that perception that Watson wrote six-figure checks to 22 different people just won't be there.
Okay. So then what would be the way to getting Watson to where he wants to go? What happens then? I mean, because to me, like, again, a team that feels that they do their due diligence, if this is something that's settled and we find out that it's untoward behavior, it's unseemly behavior, it's behavior that will definitely stick to Deshaun Watson forevermore, but it doesn't rise to the occasion of criminal, and the NFL handles its business in suspending Watson for a few games. Don't you think a team would absolutely go in the direction of flipping the Texans, the draft capital, that Nick Caserio could say it's now Davis Mills' turn here with Tyrod Taylor? What do you think?
I know it'll happen. The moment these cases are settled, if it happens, that's when the land rush begins for the Deshaun Watson contract. And the Texans still may get a decent return, because even though this litigation took a lot of the steam out of the talk of, and somebody had told me at one point, 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson, ideally if one of them was a top 10 pick this year to make it happen. That subsided when we had 22 lawsuits to contend with. Those go away. If you get 2, 3, 4 teams at the table, then the value gets pumped back into this potential trade. And I know Peter's got the teams that he's put on the short list. I'd put the Dolphins and the Eagles at the top.
Yep.
And the Eagles are one that we've been saying for weeks now you need to keep an eye on. They desperately want a franchise quarterback. And, yes, they want to give Jalen Hurts the chance this year to show that he's the guy. But if they have an opportunity to get a guy who's shown he can do it and have him for 10 years, I think they will aggressively try to make something like that happen. The Dolphins have been very quiet about it, but there's a sense that they're lurking. And, we never have gotten a wish list from Deshaun Watson, but I really think at this point, and I don't know how aggressive he would be with exercising his no-trade clause, and really every starting quarterback has a de facto no-trade clause, because you're not going to trade for a guy that doesn't want to be there.
Right.
But Watson may be a lot less picky than he would have been before all this stuff happened, because I think he'll just be glad to have a chance to go start up his career anywhere.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.